Welcome into Payoff Pitch, everybody. Action Network's Major League Baseball betting podcast. We are presented by BetMGM. Brendan Glasheen with you in the host chair, joined by Charlie DiSturco and Tanner McGrath for Tuesday Best Bets. Looking ahead to May 14th, you can hear Best Bets every Monday, Tuesday, and Friday mornings during the regular season. So subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts and find us on Action Network's YouTube page. Before we jump into the show, WNBA season begins Tuesday, the 14th, tonight. Our basketball podcast, Buckets, has a spinoff show completely focused on the W. Episodes drop every Tuesday and Friday. So if you enjoy watching, consuming, betting the WNBA, go subscribe to Buckets WNBA, wherever you get your podcasts. As we teased last week, you may have joined us last night. We're switching up the Payoff Pitch record time. So we're actually with you on Monday evening, close to the 9 o'clock hour East Coast on Monday night. So these podcasts are coming out first thing in the morning, middle of the night. 2 a.m. I think is our target time. So if you're listening to us bright and early, thanks for being here. But we are, for full transparency, we are with you as baseball is happening on this Monday night. So let's dive right in to the program. We've got a 14-game slate on Tuesday. Charlie DiSturco, we'll go to you first. 777's aficionado. But you've got yourself a player prop for a best bet for Tuesday.
Yeah, not quite 777's coming out tomorrow, but my favorite bet is a 777-esque play. And obviously the lines are not out right now, but it's Matt Olson, over 1.5 hits, runs, RBI, as well as to home run. And if it's 2.5 hits, run, RBI, I'd just play the total bases. This is a buy on Olson, who, if you look at his numbers, you would be like, who is this Matt Olson guy? He is not has not been as successful of late. Started out the season hot, has just 4 home runs this season, and that's despite ranking in the 97th percentile of all hitters in hard hit rate, the top 12% of all hitters in barrel rate, his bat speed, average exit velocity, everything that you want is elite. Yet he has not been able to find the bleachers, has kind of had a bit of a slump. The entire Braves lineup honestly have. So what better way than to fade Jameson Taillon, who's been pretty incredible to start the season, but has been blessed by playing in Chicago, having the wind that blows in. And most of the time, that's been the case for him when he's on the mound. And he's given up a 4% barrel rate this season. I don't expect that to last. You look at his last year numbers, the year before that too, near double-digit barrel rates. Last year was near 11%. And has had expected batting averages of 260 plus the last couple of seasons. So not buying without him striking out a lot of batters, with him giving up a lot of fly balls, with him giving up, of late less hard hits, but in the past few years, we know what we get from Jameson Taillon. His xFIP's right around 431, benefiting from a sub 200 BABIP block and a 94% left on base rate, which will not be sustainable in any pitcher. Not even Jacob deGrom can sustain that. So I think Matt Olson does the damage. The Braves moved Ozuna to the 3 spot tonight, Monday, when they face Imanaga. Maybe Olson will bat third, given the lefty versus righty split, but regardless, he's going to be in the top 4 with that killer quad of Ozuna, Acuna, and Albies with Riley sidelined. I think he's going to hit a home run, and I love him to at least put together 2 bases or 2 hits, runs, RBI combined.
Okay, very good. What do you expect the price point to be on that? Even money, maybe some plus money?
It'll be like minus 140, 50 is usually when like the top batters are around hits, runs, RBI, or if it's total bases, I'd expect it to be minus 110. So sometimes it's 2.5. So then that's when I alternate to total bases. Like yesterday on Mother's Day, Julio Rodriguez was 2.5. I took 2 bases instead. He had a homer. It didn't matter. But I'd rather settle for the 1.5, given that he could just get an RBI single or whatever it is and count.
Very good. In the American League East, Tanner, you are turning to the Baltimore Orioles with Kyle Bradish on the mound. One of the favorite pitchers of the Action Network, Kyle Bradish.
Yes, I'm on the O's, minus 170 or better. I probably project this closer to minus 190. And the big question I had entering this game, when did Kyle Bradish become an Action Network guy? And the answer is really when he started throwing sinkers. Bradish pitches on the first base side of the rubber. He brings in like an over-the-top, flat, four-seam fastball that was basically easily hittable. So he got rid of it. He started throwing a sinker, which is nothing special, but it does force a really high ground ball rate, 60% last season, near 90% through his first 2 starts. It's got good velo on it too, tad over 95 miles per hour. And that basically changed everything for him. It propelled him to a 4th place Cy Young finish. But it's Kyle's secondary stuff that really makes him special. He's now throwing a slider curveball mix about 40% of the time. Both pitches have a stuff plus mark above 130. The slider has a 12 inches of glove side break while also dropping just a tad. Swinging strike rate around 20% over the past few seasons. Whiff and chase rate near 40% on the young year. The curveball looks like a 12-6 curveball, just like drops straight down off the face of the earth. So when Kyle doesn't throw the flat 4-seam fastball and instead leads on his 2 unreal breaking balls, he's a legit 120 stuff plus top of the line starter. And in his last start against the Nationals, 0 4-seam fastballs put in play, 8 combined whiffs on the change in curve, 34% called strike plus whiff rate, 9 strikeouts and 1 earned run across 90 pitches against the Nationals in a win. He's pitching well. And I'm happy to back him against a Toronto offense that continues to flail. I mean, a 128 ISO, 670 OPS over the past 2 weeks, 92 WRC plus against righties on the year, 27th in weighted slider runs created, 24th in weighted sinker runs created, a combined OPS under 700 and a 5% bail rate against both pitches combined. You'd like to think that the Blue Jays lineup would finally come around at some point, but their batted ball numbers don't indicate good times are coming anytime soon. I mean, the bottom 2 teams in average exit velocity this year, by the way, the Jays and the Rays. None of us expected that. Jays are 3rd to last in pull rate. They have the 12th highest ground ball rate. Vladdy, Springer, and Bo are all due for like significant positive regression, but the latter 2 have a combined expected WOBA under 300 across 300 plate appearances, which is fine, but not exactly star level. And, even when Toronto was kind of hitting, Bradish went into Toronto last August, struck out 7 across 7 innings. He allowed 3 earned runs, but 2 were on homers. 13-3 Orioles win was the result. On the other hand, the O's just continue mashing. I mean, you want to talk about a pretty bad ball profile. Baltimore has pulled 50% of their balls over the past 2 weeks, resulted in 16 homers and a 180 ISO. They're top 2 or 3 in all the primary batted ball indicators. And they're facing a friendly face in Chris Bassett, who they bashed for 12 runs on 18 hits in 9 innings across 2 starts last season. Bassett enters Tuesday with an ERA, an expected ERA north of 5 in 40 innings. His walk rate is up over 10%, mostly because his strike rate is down about 2% year over year. He's got a mediocre batted ball profile. I actually think Bassett is like a fine pitcher, like a 2-win innings eater who projects as a 4-FIP guy. And he can actually overperform because the Jays defense is so good. They're 1st in defensive runs saved and outs above average, which makes it pretty sad that they just can't hit anything. Regardless, Bassett just doesn't pop off the page. And I think he can get walloped again by a lineup that he's struggled with. Another point, bullpens over the last 2 weeks. The Orioles have a 1.9 ERA and a 0.9 whip. The Blue Jays, 6.2 ERA, 1.4 whip. Also, the Orioles can keep up defensively. They're top 10 in all the fielding metrics. Like, Henderson and Holiday, rock solid middle infield duo. Kowser and Mullins are great in the outfield. Then they're all like 19 years old, which is the best part. So I'll take Bradish and the hard hitting O's against Bassett and the soft hitting Jays at anything better than like minus 170.
Bassett also, I remember we talked about this last year. He is not good when he's not in Canada. He stinks on the road. That's been the case.
Yeah, he does have pretty, a lot of the Jays pitchers have really significant home road splits, which is weird. I don't know what it is about pitching in Canada.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but this year it's been bad on both fronts. Very good. They're your best bets for Tuesday. Let's go to our Fade the Public segment. 95% of the cash coming in on the Detroit Tigers over the Miami Marlins. Ryan Weathers on the mound for Miami. Reese Olson for Detroit. Marlins are plus 150 on the money line. Tigers minus 180. What do we think here, Charlie? Is the public wrong in giving the Tigers some love against a struggling Miami team?
I lean toward the fish. I'm honored that you gave it to me first on this one because Tanner's our resident fish guy. But
he's on a different location, so I'm like confused. I don't see the Sandy jersey.
Yeah, he's probably in hiding right now given how bad they've been. But listen, I texted Tanner before the show and I was like, how are the Tigers minus 180, minus 190 favorites, or minus 170, wherever they are right now? How are they this favored? You look at their bullpen, their offense in general. I mean, their top heavy offense, that the back end is pretty abysmal. Their bullpen has been hit or miss. Their back end's pretty strong, but other than that, it's nothing to really gawk at. And over the last 14 days, both of the bullpens have been about average. So when you boil it down and you look at the pitching matchup here, Olsen's been great, and aside from one start, has not been blown up at all. But his xFIP is near 4. He hasn't allowed a single home run yet, which feels like it's going to be coming in negative regression fashion, given that he really struggled with allowing home runs last year. It was over 1.2 per 9. So he's still in the bottom 15% of all pitchers in hard hit rate. He's still getting hit really hard. He just hasn't been giving up a lot of home runs. His xFIP, as I mentioned, near 4. So due for some negative regression. And I'm not going to tell you that Weathers is anything great. His stuff plus is higher than Olsen. He has, to work on his fastball. It's getting crushed, but his sweeper and changeup have been phenomenal. They've been great swing and miss pitches, put out pitches. Altogether, just think that, like, you boil it down, you look at the offenses, they're about similar. They're both below average. You look at the bullpens, about similar. Probably the Tigers are a little bit better. And then the starting pitching matchup obviously slightly favors Olsen, but I don't know if it's enough to get behind this plus 155 number that you're getting with Miami. So I definitely lean that way, and maybe playing it. It depends on, how things turn out.
Say you, Tanner, on the fish, the 11-31 Miami Marlins.
Yeah, let me make the case for my beloved fish, who are so awful. Look, Ryan Weathers' stuff plus marks are up 10 points year over year. He has reared back, and he's found an extra tick on his fastball. It's now 96 mile per hour on average, with a more lively, steeper angle, some extra horizontal movement. Actually, the 8-inch arm side break on his fastball is the 11th highest among major league fastballs. And he's managing to get strikes across with it, a surprising 22% called strike rate, even if it's a hittable pitch because it has like zero ride. And he's also throwing a half decent changeup, something with a 21% swinging strike rate. And one thing I like about him is that he held his own against the Dodgers last time out, forced 8 whiffs, 1 walk, scattered 3 runs across 5 hits. And I think you could see a boost in production against a less dangerous lineup. And it's a pretty good matchup because the Tigers are dead last in weighted changeup runs created. So Charlie touched on it. I keep thinking the Marlins bullpen is going to come around. This was like a projected borderline top 10 unit in the preseason, and they've been underperforming 4.8 ERA, but a 4.2 expected FIP. I mean, you look at the guys. Tanner Scott is good. Andrew Nardi's expected ERA is like 3 runs lower than his actual. Declan Cronin is like an interesting piece there. And I've seen some things from the fish pitching recently that give me some semblance of hope for the 11-32 Miami Marlins. But more importantly, as Charlie mentioned that we talked about, the Tigers being minus 180 with anyone but Skubal on the mound seems wrong, right? They're 3-7 in May. And I know we all love Reese Olson, but as Charlie also mentioned, I think he's reaching overvalued territory. A 2.5 ERA, 3.3 expected ERA, 4 expected FIP, and hasn't given up a home run, as Charlie mentioned. And it's not like he has overwhelming stuff or Kirby-like command. I mean, 71 stuff plus mark on his fastball. He has 1 plus pitch, it's the slider. And, by pitching plus, Weathers is actually the better pitcher. Weathers has a 97 pitching plus. Olsen has a 96. Meanwhile, the Tigers bullpen, I think Charlie mentioned, 4.7 ERA and 4.4 Sierra over the past 2 weeks with a 40% hard hit rate. And there's not a massive difference. As Charlie said again, there's not a massive difference in offensive production between the Tigers against southpaws and the Marlins against righties. It's about 3 points by WRC+. And this Marlins lineup is not lifeless. I mean, De La Cruz and Chisholm are above average bats. Jesus Sanchez is underperforming his expected WOBA by almost 100 points. And he just tied up Monday's game against the Tigers in the 5th with like a 2-out RBI single. The Marlins are not going to be this bad forever. There has to be a buy point. I think plus 150 against the overvalued Tigers is a pretty good point.
Okay, very good. Miami Marlins going against the people. All right, let's look at underdogs. Where do we see value on the board for Tuesday, the 14th, Charlie, for an underdog?
Yeah, so This one really caught my eye. 5 days ago, or I guess 4 days if you're counting that we're recording on Monday night, the Cincinnati Reds closed minus 145 in Cincinnati between Hunter Green and Slade Chisholm. I don't even know how to pronounce Italian. I don't even know how to do that. But Hunter Green and the Diamondbacks ended up winning by one there. And it was an 8th inning, 2-out single from Corbin Carroll, but it was a back and forth game throughout. Then you fast forward to tomorrow, or I guess today if you're listening now, and the Reds are underdogs, plus 100 right now against the Arizona Diamondbacks. And yes, I get that the Cincinnati Reds offense is lifeless. Yes, I get that they're not that pretty. They do have aggression on the base paths, which is always plays into their favor. They're going to be aggressive. Ellie De La Cruz will still second, third if he gets on. And just from a pitching matchup, like Hunter Green blows Slade out of the water. Hunter Green, 129 stuff plus, 104 pitching plus. The Reds are 1-7 with him. So eventually things are going to turn, especially when he's finding this much success. An xERA of 2.61. He's in the 96th percentile in expected batting average. He halved his barrel rate too. So everything that he's doing is doing right. And yet the Reds are unable to win in his starts. It's very eerily reminiscent of New York Mets and Jacob deGrom. But I just think when you look at this matchup and then you look at Slade, he has a 164 batting average on balls in play, which is going to negatively regress. He has a 4.93 xFIP and a 5.07 FIP. So he is due for some negative regression as well. And even with, not generating chases, whiffs, strikeouts, he's limited hard hit rate a little bit. His expected batting average has been great in limited fashion. His stuff plus his league average. This is obviously a short sample size because he's only made 4 or 5 starts. You look at the last 14 days altogether, the Cincinnati Reds bullpen has been borderline top 10. Arizona's 27th in xFIP. So all of this culminates in me being like, maybe Arizona because they're home, sure, but then you factor in 45 cents of value based on closing line to what it is on open now. I'm going to take the Reds here. Arizona also in their Worcester split for what it's worth. They're number 1 against left-handed pitching. They're 26th in WRC plus against righties. So just at plus 100 here, 45 cents of difference. I just don't understand it. It's bananas to me. Maybe I'm walking into a trap, but I'm gonna bite.
Hunter Green is a guy that I keep wanting to buy and buy and buy. He's going to be great one day. But for my underdog of the day, I think that the scorching hot Twins are worth another buy as moderate home dogs. I think plus 110 or better against the Yankees is good. Chris Paddock, starting pitcher for Tuesday, has had a few rough outings this year. The Orioles and Angels messed him up, but otherwise he's been pristine. In his other 5 starts, he's tossed 26 innings with 5 earned runs and 33 strikeouts. He's also showing like elite command, minor 5% walk rate, and his location plus metric is up 3 points year over year to 106 from 103. He's off consecutive dominant starts against Seattle and Boston. 11 combined innings, 16 strikeouts, 2 walks, 1 earned run. His location plus mark reached 110 in his most recent start, which is that's huge considering he's coming off Tommy John. That's like a big thing. He also continues to generate elite extension, which helps his sometimes low stuff fastball. For example, he forced 11 whiffs on 42 of them against Seattle. He also has a new slider, which I think is showing increasingly better results as he kind of figures it out. And I think that he's trending up. So, his expected FIP is around 3.5. And I think it's reasonable to suggest that better days are ahead. He might outperform that even. He will battle Carlos Rodon, the Yankees lefty, who has expected run indicators in the mid-4s. He's been a little lucky so far this season. A lower BABIP, like 280, and a higher strand rate, about 84%. No one's questioning that he still has elite stuff, and his fastball is still checking in 95 miles per hour. But there's something off about him. And I think what I found is that the swinging strike rate on his four-seam fastball is down from 15% the past 3 years to 8% this season. And I think the key to that is that he's missing middle a lot. His high location rate on the fastball is down about 16 percentage points this year. After 2 consecutive seasons at 64% range, it's at like 47%. And he's hung a few terrible middle fastballs so far. That burned him against the Orioles, I believe 2 starts ago, who took him yard 3 times. The Orioles have a 137 WRC plus against Southpaws this year. That's third best in Major League Baseball. The Twins have a 119 mark. That's eighth best. But over the past month, the Twins are fourth best in MLB against Southpaws with a 131 WRC plus. The Twins also boast the second highest weighted fastball runs created, and they hit the ball in the air a lot. So it's not unreasonable to suggest that the Twins could duplicate what the Orioles did to Rodon just a short 10 days ago. I make the defensive matchup kind of a wash, and I think the Yankees have the better bullpen, but I also think the Bronx Bomber relievers are a tad overvalued. Their 2.7 relief ERA is backed up by a 4.2 expected FIP. And look, like Clay Holmes is going to give up a run eventually, right? Meanwhile, the Twins bullpen could get a considerable boost with Johan Duran now having made 7 perfect relief appearances with 3 saves. It's always tough fading Juan Soto and co, especially that Yankee lineup, but I'm willing to tap Paddock and company here at plus money odds.
Okay, very good. Thanks for the clarification on what day, too, and all that stuff. Let's go to final bets. Got a couple more here. This segues nicely from our record last night because Gavin Stone is pitching Tuesday, not pitching tonight for the Dodgers. It's Gavin Stone, Charlie. So you can we didn't get to do the Gavin Stone thing for Monday's slate, but you get to talk about it for Tuesday.
Yeah. So I'm on Yamamoto tonight, and I'm on Gavin Stone over strikeouts tomorrow as well. And the big reason is here. The San Francisco Giants are just not healthy. You look at their entire lineup, and you look at their best possible options to throw out against a right-handed pitcher. Lee, out. He doesn't strike out. Well, he's hurt. Patrick Bailey, questionable on the left side. Michael Conforto, a lefty, probably their best hitter right now, out. Austin Slater, out. Nick Ahmed, out. So every single player on this Giants team basically is hurt, or they're going to have to play tomorrow night. And they're already 18th in WRC plus against right-handed pitching. They're around league average in strikeouts as well. So you put that together, you take out guys like Lee and Conforto who won't strike out as much against right-handed pitching or in general. And then you take in Gavin Stone, who is actually making the start tomorrow. And I think that, I'm assuming this number opens around 4.5, even if it's 5.5, I like his over. I'll probably ladder it too. I was talking to Sean Kerner before this, and he said that he has Gavin Stone's expected strikeout rate at 21%. So you look at what he is now, he's right around 17%. That means that there's room for a lot more strikeouts, and specifically on his slider, changeup, and sinker, he should be striking out more batters. And that was a word from Sean Kerner himself. You look at everything on Stone, 73rd percentile of all pitchers in chase rate, about league average in whiff rate, yet he's 18th in strikeout rate. So all this culminating in a great opportunity to buy Stone, who has an elite changeup, elite slider, both of which should be able to take advantage of what is basically turning into a AAA San Francisco Giants lineup tomorrow. And I'm going to continue to fade them as long as half their laundry list of offense is on the injured list. And then I echo Tanner's statement on the Twins. I also am on their money line, just am fading Rodon, who has some negative regression coming. And I mean, Chris Paddock was one of the best pitchers one of the highest rated pitchers in baseball a few years ago. And it finally seems like it's coming to fruition, and all his underlying metrics support it. So I'm scared about fading Soto and Judge, but definitely think that this number should be closer to plus 100. So the plus 118 number I'm eating up.
Very good. All right. And Tanner, you've got a couple more for us, a few totals, and then a money line side.
Yeah, to talk about Charlie's Gavin Stone play. Giants home unders this year are 13-5 because they can pitch okay and they can't hit. They can't do anything. And now they're out all of their best hitters. I don't know what they're going to do. Anyways, 3 plays for me. I'll try and make it quick. Cubs at Braves. I bought it under 8, minus 115. I think it's probably good to 7.5 plus 100. I bet this under tonight on Monday night, and I'm going back to the well for most of the same reasons. First, 2 elite offenses that are struggling. Last 2 weeks, Cubs have a 97 WRC plus. That's 14th in baseball. Braves have a 66 WRC plus. That's a dead last. They're just slumping, obviously. It's all small sample size stuff. But the two are whiffing a lot during the stretch. Like the Braves have the second highest swinging strike rate during these past 2 weeks, about 15%. The Cubs have the 7th highest, about 14%. Second reason, these are 2 starting pitchers that I'm quite bullish about. Starting with Chris Sale, who has risen from the ashes like a lanky phoenix. he has seen a significant velocity bump across his entire arsenal. His like super wide, lanky, all the way across the place slider is all the way back, at least according to Stuff Plus. I mean, 92 last year, 132 this season. He just generated 13 whiffs on 37 thrown against Boston in his last start. The 42% called strike plus whiff rate on his slider is the 7th highest among all MLB sliders.
He would have worked. He would have worked with Andrew Bailey. Why did they get rid of this guy?
He would have won a Cy Young.
Easy to say that now. I'm like, here I am.
A million
about Chris Sale.
Spam sliders all season long.
It's perfect. He'd fit right in. But
yeah. But the key really for his season and his longevity is an increased changeup usage. So he threw 21 of them against Boston. It's about an 11% increase in his average like usage rate, and it looks like a legit pitch, generating a 15% swinging strike rate, 60% ground ball rate, and about 80 thrown. And the big thing about the changeup is that it can help him neutralize lefties who crushed him over the past few years. And so far in early 2024, his platoon splits look really good, like even. So Sale has struck out 52 guys and walked only 8 across his first 42 innings. He struck out 19 against Seattle and Boston in his past 2 starts, only 11 innings. And his batted ball profile looks really good. Perhaps it's because he's throwing his changeup more. But as long as he keeps locating that changeup, I'm telling you, he's going to be really, really good. Now, conversely, Charlie is fading Jameson Taillon. I'm kind of buying him, and I'll make the case for him. Obviously, he's a guy that doesn't have any stuff, but he is commanding, controlling, and locating better than anyone in baseball. 114 location plus mark is the highest among all 179 starting pitchers with at least 10 innings. That's 3 points higher than the next guy, by the way. He's walked 5 batters in 24 innings. 70% of his pitches are going for strikes, 97th percentile. 53% are in the zone, 96th percentile. He has a 45% ground ball rate. He's keeping his barrel and hard hit rates down. He's throwing his cutter more, his curveball against lefties, and his sweeper that he added last year, actually, against righties. He's never going to generate those lovable, whiff and strikeout numbers, but he's going to keep producing with pinpoint location and by feeding the middle infield duo of Dansby and Nico. The Cubs rank 6th in defensive runs saved. And that's why he pairs a 1.1 ERA with a 2.3 expected ERA. I'm a little iffy on the bullpens. There's a neutral wind coming across the field, but between the 2 red hot pitchers in the ice cold lineups, I'm willing to keep taking these unders. Braves unders are 9-1 in their past 10 games or something.
I will say real quick before you go that I'm not fading Taillon in general. I'm only fading him against Olsen because lefties typically fare a lot better against Taillon if you look at the numbers, slugging and everything wise. I'm not in general saying buy the Braves offense. Just want to throw that in there. Like, don't take a team total out on them. I'm mostly just buying Olsen. And I will say before he finishes up, who would have thought Chris Sale might start game 1 of the playoffs for the Atlanta Braves? But
yeah, and who would have thought that would probably be minus 190 favorites because he's pitching so well. But you know what? He'll probably fall off a bike or, fall off of
in the shower or something. Yeah.
Yeah, something crazy like that. And he won't be there. And so with that, let's take us to the Rays at the Red Sox. Fenway is going to be the best run environment of the night on Tuesday night. Double-digit breezes towards the monster, plus 16% extra base hit factor, plus 8% run factor. Plenty of balls should be hit high off that monster, resulting in awkward fielding conditions for 2 really bad defenses, by the way, both bottom 10 and outs above average defensive run saved. And you have all seen just how bad the 2024 Boston Red Sox are on the field. Terrible. Starting pitchers. Nick Pivetta, probably not 100% yet. He did not look healthy against the Braves. Threw only 58 pitches, got shelled for 5 runs, only managed 6 whiffs. His velocity looked fine, but he lost about an inch of ride on his fastball, which I think could make the difference maker because, Atlanta put 10 of 30 into play. DeBundo, RIP, mentioned this on Friday's pod. We've been talking about it a lot recently. The Rays are a play-on team for the foreseeable future. As he mentioned, the Rays lineup has the highest stuff plus mark against in the early going. Their lineup is clearly undervalued. And over the past 2 weeks, their OBP is up to 340 behind a 12% walk rate. And they have an opportunity on Tuesday to smash some unhealthy fastballs in a really good hitting environment. Aaron Savali will get the start for the Rays, and I think he's undervalued. 5.8 ERA paired with a 3.9 expected ERA. He's allowed a few more home runs than usual. His BABIP is high. His strand rate is low. His strikeout rate is actually up year over year, And he's added a sweeper, which I think is a pretty good pitch. 19 inches of horizontal break, 3,000 RPMs, 160 stuff plus. But he has shown some brutal command over the past few starts. I mean, gross. Like, he walked 5 Yankees. He's allowed 20 earned over his past 18 innings. He checked in with a 42 strike rate in his last start with a 40% ball rate. And that could have gotten real ugly if he wasn't facing the White Sox. Now he's going to go face the good Sox, who he has posted a lifetime 4.8 ERA against in 15 innings with 8 walks. I'd keep a close eye on Rafael Devers here, who I think might be having a career best season because he has significantly lowered his chase rate, which has dramatically upped his walk rate. It's up to like a whopping 14%. Not to mention he's still mashing everything. I mean, you look at his StatCast page, it's all red, a Raffy usual. It's all adding up to a 145 WRC plus. He's also drawn 2 walks and 8 plate appearances against Savali. So I might look at his walk props in the morning. We also have 2 bullpens that can be shaky. The Rays have been disastrous in the pen all year. Even as they've started to improve, a 4.6 reliever Sierra over the past 2 weeks isn't going to cut it. And the Red Sox are probably due for some negative regression in the bullpen. A 3.2 ERA, 3.4 expected FIP. The Red Sox's dramatic pitching improvements have mainly been in the rotation. For example, closer Kenley Jansen, he's walked 9 batters in 13 innings. Ballpark Pal projects a little over 9.2 runs for this game, so I think over an 8.5 seems good to me. And I'll close it out with the Seattle Mariners on the money line. Over the past few seasons, Logan Gilbert has added 4 ticks of velo to his slider. That's up the stuff plus on the pitch 42 points. Toss in his other 3 plus pitches, and you've got the 4th best qualified pitcher by the stuff plus model, 120 across his arsenal. His command problems recently are a bit scary, but I'm betting on a big bounce back performance after he got roasted by Minnesota in his last start. 8 earned runs, 9 hits, 4 innings. He still forced 18 whiffs, walked only 2, so that was probably fluky. The Royals are just fine against right-handed pitching, somewhere in between above average and average. And it's always really hard to hit in Seattle. Lowest park factor in the league, and winds are coming cross field tomorrow night. So you've got a minus 11% run factor. And I think the Mariners are starting to heat up a little bit in the lineup. Top 10 in WRC plus over the past 2 weeks. They're hitting the ball in the air a lot more. Just a 38% ground ball rate during the stretch, 44% hard hit rate, and a 44% pull rate. That's helped him launch 16 homers over the last 2 weeks. I'm hoping they can get to Michael Wacha, who has pitched to a 5.1 ERA this season. And, everyone kind of knows who he is. Soft tossing, entirely changeup reliant guy who gets by on locating, projects out as a 1-win, mid-4s FIP guy. Nothing special. And I think that Seattle's bullpen is starting to trend up too. They've snuck up to 12th in bullpen WAR. I think this is a top 5 unit with, their true upside. And I'm always looking to back them at home. I'm willing to do it again here. Thank you for your time.
All right. Good deal. There you go. There are your best bets and the full breakdown of the slate for Tuesday, May 14th. Don't forget to download the free award-winning Action Network app. Find Charlie DiSturco, find Tanner McGrath there. Leave us a 5-star rating and review wherever you listen to our podcast, Payoff Pitch. And again, leave those subscriptions and reviews for a chance to win Action Swag or a free Action Pro subscription. We will do some more giveaways as the month continues because we're in a giving mood based on the 200 episode plateau we hit very recently. Also check out the Action Network Discord channel. Charlie mentioned our pal Sean Kerner. He's in there often, sweating out some strikeout props. So check that out. Link to the Discord channel in the episode description. We return on Thursday night. Zerillo's back Thursday. We've got BJ Cunningham coming our way Thursday night. Thanks to Tanner McGrath, Charlie DiSturco, Brendan Glasheen. Thanks for tuning in to Payoff Pitch, Action Network's MLB betting podcast. Best of luck, and we'll talk to you next time.